Good morning, GM. Welcome to the Opening Bell Crypto Update Show. Yesterday was a holiday. Good to be back today. Going to check my streams here, see how we're looking. Had a little trouble last week. I don't know if it was X or the software I'm using, but having a little bit of trouble with getting on X. And then it started working. Looks like we're live now, but then it wasn't saving it. So hopefully that's all resolved today. I didn't see any kind of warning or anything. Looks like it's working. Let me take a look here. Yeah, it looks like we're good, man. That's nice. I'm going to do a little live chat. Let me just do a little. Tap message will say something. It's not letting me do that. But anyway, I won't worry too much about that. It does look like it's live nonetheless. So that's good. And hopefully it'll save and everything will be good because that's where most of my viewers are. Since I've been here, I am Crypto Bull Ron. I have been here for 15 years in crypto. So been mostly been doing a live show on X for 4 years. I thought, you know what? I'll do a little different format where I can show some charts and stuff. That GM Bitcoin morning show coming on 4 years now comes up at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can catch it on X on a space, or this show is on there as well, live streaming as well as on YouTube and Rumble. And as soon as I get enough followers, soon to be on TikTok as well. So been over messing around with TikTok for the last week. So anyway, yeah, I really hope to go. I'm just way earlier. Probably no one's expecting me this early. I would really like to start around 9 a.m. and then end a little early. You know, the thing is to really kind of tell you what's been going on over the when you've been sleeping, all the news that affects you, and kind of look at the macro before the market opens and after the market opens. So, and then we can end anytime after the market opens up until I do my show at about 9, depending on how much we have to talk about and whatnot. But yeah, if you're on YouTube or Rumble or whatever, give me a follow, comment, retweet, whatever. I'm just new to both those platforms. Of course, I've been over here on X for a long time, 10 years plus. But anyway, I don't see, it looks like it's working over there. It does not. I'm going to leave. I'm actually going to leave and come back on there, see if I can get the messages to work. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything's ever perfect over there, but I'm just going to see if I can join and especially see if I can leave a comment. It doesn't want to let me leave comments for some reason. Well, anyway, so maybe people on X won't, maybe it's just me. Either way, first thing I like to do is kind of take a look at, like I say, yesterday was President's Day, so it was a holiday. So not mo. Let me shut the sound completely off there, so I'm not getting any sound at all. Yeah, it was a holiday. So once again, like I tell you on weekends, when you get a holiday, it's low volume and it's easily manipulated. So I would say don't get too excited whether stuff's pumping or dumping. Same with a holiday like yesterday. But let's take a look over at what's going on with the futures. Futures are looking really ugly, to be honest with you. Looks like they're going to open up, like the NASDAQ's looking to open up down 1%. One thing that we had is a big sell-off of software stocks based on AI fears. We'll talk a little bit about that. Probably a little premature, to be honest with you, but that was kind of some of the news and kind of some of the stuff that happened. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, it's definitely something that happened. So anyway, yeah, earliest I've ever started the show. Hopefully I can start it right. I'd love to start it around 9 every day. Give us plenty of time to go over the news, talk about anything, see what's happening. But right now you see the NASDAQ is looking to open down 0.61. It's been over 1% most of the night. So not really great there. Let's take a look at the Dow. And once again, this can be stock specific. It may be a little worse on the NASDAQ just simply because of the fact that we have these issues with the with all the software, all the SAS stocks selling off because of the effect that AI is going to have on them, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, here we have. So we're 25 minutes before the opening, and it's looking to open up down. Well, actually, it's now looking pretty flat, so it's getting a little better. Let's see how the S&P is looking. Down about 0.29. So the Dow looking flat. Go back to the NASDAQ. We'll come back there. 0.68. So about 2/3 down for the NASDAQ, pretty flat for the Dow, and down about 1/3 for the S&P futures. Let's see how Bitcoin and crypto, we're really here to talk about, it's doing. Now, this software you see me using is Crypto Bubbles. It's a free software. I use it both on my laptop as well as I use it on my phone as well, because I can just take a quick look. But also, if you go down, it's broken up into 100. But when you break it down, like say we look at Bitcoin, it'll also give you a link to CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. It'll also show you some of the place it trades, shows you the ranking, and also gives you a chart, hour, day, week, month, or year. So right now, Bitcoin 68,201. You see, when we look at the daily chart here, we kind of had an up and down weekend. We got as low as 67, low 67s. We got as high as around 69. Actually, I think we were up around almost hit 71, like over, maybe Friday, Saturday. But anyway, kind of flat. We'll see. Right now, officially, we're down only 0.2%. We'll see what happens when the market opens. Sometimes that'll suck Bitcoin down with us. Right now, sitting at 68, kind of has been a slow grind down over the last 4 or 5 days since I say we're around. If we look at the weekly chart, yeah, we hit that 70,765, almost hit 71. I was kind of hoping we'd hold above that big even 70, but we didn't. So it is what it is. One thing I did post a few of my thoughts about the market. Here's where I'm looking at. Currently at 68,313. Here's some levels I'm keeping an eye on. Okay. The first level is 70,000, because that's a big even. It's a big even. So if we can get above and hold above 70, that's good. A lot of people just kind of keep an eye on it when it's a big round number like that. So it makes it somewhat significant. But then the numbers I'm looking for is around be the 72 to 74, because that's where there's some overhead resistance. Also, if you look at the Fibonacci from the top, that's 74 levels, kind of one of the big Fibonacci retracement levels. So 72 to 74, if we can break above those, then I think we go into the high 70s. On the downside, I'm still keeping an eye at that 200-week moving average, which I believe is around 59 and some change, or right around 59 right now. So downside, we did not break that when we broke down to 60. If you look at the monthly chart here, we broke down to 63,431. Now this is a conglomerate. I think I thought we dropped down to the 60 and some, and maybe that's in the last year. Let's see. No, yeah, I thought it was lower than that, but it depends. This is a conglomeration of many charts. We dropped into hit 60 on high 60s, like 6,900, 6,500 on some exchanges. So anyway, yeah, so we didn't even hit that with that big leverage flush. So a lot of people think that was the bottom, but then after that, I'm probably looking at 49 or so. That's another big Fibonacci retracement level. But we'll see. Right now, it's just kind of sideways accumulation. Some people believe the bottom's in. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but those are the levels I'm watching. Meanwhile, we just go sideways. And keep in mind, a lot of times you do just go sideways, right? There's only, and this is a concept that really changed my life. And I probably only learned it like 4 or 5 years ago. And that is that you only have about 12 days, 12 to 14 days a year in Bitcoin when it really pumps, when we have those $5,000 or $10,000 candles. So pretty much you go sideways most of the time. So keep that in mind. Yeah, if you're seeing me on X or over on YouTube or Rumble, type something in the comments. I just want to see how that's working. My comments won't let me work, so I never know. Never know what. Yeah, won't let me type a comment. But like I said, I'm using a software that combines everything, combines all the chats. But anyway, like I say, last week there was some issue. Seems to be. Let me check the Ethereum. Let me see how much delay there is. Let's go check Ethereum next at number 2. See how far of a delay we have on X. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of a delay over there, but that's fine. Hopefully it saves and people can see it and whatnot. But anyway, on Ethereum, we're looking at, it's actually looking better for the day. Like I say, I'm not going to take any of these things too serious until we get, till the market opens here in 18 minutes. But so far, it's looking good. 1995, up 1.4% for the day and up 0.6. So it's doing even a little bit better than Bitcoin, I think. So that's good. And like I say, we'll see how that holds out. Looking down at XRP. Man, a lot of people love XRP. It's crazy over on TikTok. I literally hear people talking about $50,000 XRP, $10,000 XRP. So I did a little math over the weekend, and like I've said before, I like XRP. I wouldn't say I love XRP. Okay, that's how I feel, and part of that's maybe because I made so much money the first couple of times that I'm just kind of have a different perspective, and that happens depending on where you come in on a coin, right? But it's crazy over there. By the way, I just checked on, looks like everything's working good over on YouTube. So if you're over there on YouTube, jump in, make a comment, or give me a follow since I'm fairly new over there. I'm not really pushing for a bunch of customers or a bunch of followers over there. I'm just doing my thing. And hopefully, like I say, if you benefit, give me a follow, like, comment, retweet, whatever. Anyway, okay, so XRP down 2.6 for the day, but it's for the week we're up 2.6%. So a little bit of a drop today. Looks like we hit a high. Let's see. Let me look at the daily here. The daily, we hit 150. So we had a pretty good little run about 24 hours ago. Yesterday morning looks pretty decent over there. So that was great. And then you can see it's pretty choppy. And look, XRP is more volatile than the others. So it means it goes up, goes down. We do have some couple pieces of news on XRP today. But anyway, back to my story. I see people on TikTok talking about $50,000 XRP. So I did some math. And because there was some news, and I'll bring it to you in a minute. There was some news about a couple pieces of news about XRP over the weekend. But I did the math, okay? We often talk about Bitcoin flipping gold, right? And the market cap would put Bitcoin close to $2 million. So I said, okay, what if XRP could flip gold? Now, is that even possible or whatever? I don't know. My bullish next bull market run for XRP, I have a target of around $8 to $10. So, and that puts it around over $1 trillion asset. But anyway, if it were to match the market cap of gold, it'd be about $550. So keep that in mind. We talk about Bitcoin, which is a store of value and is very unique. Someday, flipping gold and being a $2 billion Bitcoin. But XRP, just do that math and be realistic. if you love XRP, that's great. It is solid, and we got some good news about some bad news and some good news about them. But just think about that. If it flipped the market cap of gold, that's $550 XRP. And it's not like a store of value. It's not as unique as Bitcoin. It's just simply a company and some software and some technology, though they're doing a lot of things. But anyway, just be realistic. That's all I'm saying. Don't think that it's going to, just look at the market cap, compare it with other things, and that'll give you a more realistic kind of explanation of where things can go. Let's look at Solana. My favorite layer 2, Solana, Ethereum, the two that I feel like most people are building on. Solana XRP, Solana for the daily, up 1.2% and about 0.1 for since I started the show here. Got as high as 87.44, up 8.5, doing a little better in the mid 80s. So we'll see. Once again, we'll see what happens when the market opens. Let's take one more quick look at the market. And let's just see. That's what this show is about, to see how that affects us. And then we're going to jump into the news, which there's a fair amount of. And for those of you just joining me, I'm a little earlier today. I'm really going to try and start closer to 9 a.m. Eastern time if I can. I'd love to do that. It'll give us a little more time, talk about them, a few more things, especially if we have people. Maybe in the future we get through everything, we can answer some questions on the chat as we get more people following us, especially on YouTube. And you can ask anything you want. Here we are. It's got a little better, 0.6 for the NASDAQ into the negative. Like I said, it's been over 1%, so that's good. By the way, gold's down 3% today, so gold took quite a hit. I'll see if I can look up silver. Now, the Dow, same thing, 0.05. I call that flat. Let me refresh that. I think that's refreshed, but let's just make sure. We've got some time. We're not in a hurry. I finally got here early, got everything ready, getting a little better at that. Yep, it's the same. And let's take a look at S&P. .25, so down a quarter. So they're getting slightly better. We'll see what happens. We have about 13 minutes, 12 minutes till it opens. Let's jump on some news. By the way, it's Happy New Year's. It's Chinese Lunar New Year's today, Guonian as they call it, and they say Happy New Year, Xin Nian Kuai La, which is actually Xin Nian Kuai La, New Year happiness. So another thing they say is Gong Shi Fa Cai. You'll hear that a lot. Gong Shi Fa Cai. That's like that's what most people say. When I was in China, I was there for 8 years, went to college over there and stuff in Taiwan. That's what I'd hear a lot. Gong Shi Fa Cai, Gong Shi Fa Cai. And that means basically congratulations and much wealth. Gong Shi is congratulations. I don't know if it's congratulations, you made it another year or what, but Fa Cai is like prosperity and wealth. So Gong Shi Fa Cai. And then the little kids add Hong Bao Nar Lai, where's my red envelope? Because they have a tradition. It's bigger, like they don't really do Christmas over there. I mean, some do now, but it's not really like a cultural holiday for them, right? Because they're Buddhist and Taoist, and they're not Christians. But hey, Wheelie King, GM, brother, good to see you there on YouTube. My most loyal listener over there on YouTube. First person ever made a comment from YouTube because I've only been there a few weeks. So GM, brother, good to see you there. Happy New Year. Chinese New Year, Gong Shi Fa Cai. Hope you have a great year, make a lot of money. So, but anyway, the Chinese, what they do is they give what I call a Hong Bao. Hong Bao just means red wrap or red envelope, and they'll fill it full of money, and the kids get a bunch of cash, man. So, they love it. And it's usually can be serious too. Grandma, grandpa, friends, whatever. Like you'd give your kids, you'd give your nephews, you'd give your best friends' kids. I mean, it's that Hong Bao. And the other time they use that is during weddings. They have these extravagant weddings. And the reason is, at least in Taiwan, I don't know so much in mainland China, but if you get an invitation, you have to go, or you at least have to send a Hong Bao, a red envelope full of cash. So everyone's like, hey, I'm going to, and in Taiwan, it'd probably be a minimum of like $100. So you're going to go and eat, right? And they have these crazy, so whether you have money or not, you have these extravagant weddings, and either at a really nice restaurant or hotel, or they put a tent right out in the street, and it's crazy, like 12 courses, and it's extravagant. And the girls get have all these different wedding dresses. They get all these crazy pictures done, all these different traditional Chinese things. And then usually the extra money goes to the father-in-law, and her brothers get to split that money. So it can actually be profitable when your daughter gets married, as opposed to in the US where it's you better be planning for it because you pay for most of everything, traditionally speaking. Okay. So happy Chinese New Year. Gong Xi Fa Cai, Xin Nian Kuai La. Let's get rocking here. This was interesting to me. I'm hearing a lot about this. Mr. Wonderful, our guy Kevin O'Leary, he's in this interview on Fox News, and he said, I'm still long Bitcoin, but there's a new concern floating around: quantum computing. The idea that a quantum computer could eventually break the chain is making institutions hesitant. And until that gets resolved, don't expect them to go beyond a 3% allocation. They'll stay cautious, they'll stay disciplined, and they'll wait for clarity. That's reality. So 2 things he brought up is the Clarity Act and the government, what they're doing and whatnot. That's one thing that's holding people up, and I believe that's the reality. We'll talk a little bit about that. But this quantum computing is complete FUD. Completely nothing that needs to be worried about for 10 years or more, right? And it's keep this in mind. If you can break the encryption, that means you can break the encryption of every government, every nuclear bomb, every bank. The whole financial system, right, is way more exposed than Bitcoin is. And all Bitcoin needs to do is put in a hard fork, and they're already working on it to change the encryption, make it a little harder, And so it's to me, it's truly not an issue, but you get this story, and it could be the banks putting out this FUD or just misinformation. FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's kind of what we use in the crypto world for fake news. But anyway, this FUD, it's interesting to me, and I don't know that he buys into it or not. But what he's saying is, and he might, but I don't think so. I think what he's saying is this concern's out there. He's hearing it. Keep in mind, besides being a celebrity on TV, he's quite a big deal, in the financial world. He has his own funds and everything. He's a very serious guy in the TradFi world, right? So he meets with, sovereign wealth funds and all these different big bankers and some of the richest people in the world. So obviously trying to buy his funds or pitch his funds or do investments or whatever it is. The Shark Tank thing, that's nothing. That's not his full-time job, right? I think that's just something that made him famous, and he's kind of the a-hole on there, but overall, pretty good dude. Just straight to the point, kind of like Simon Cowell is or was on American Idol, right? Kind of the no BS, tell you how it is, whether it hurts your feelings or not. But anyway, what he's telling us is he's hearing it. So for those of us that do the research and understand it ourselves, it's just more opportunity, because that means, if these institutions stay around 3%, then that's just more for us. So I said for about 10 years, we can beat Wall Street to the punch. Obviously that's not true anymore because they're here. But anyway, just that's out there. In XRP news, this came out yesterday. Standard Chartered, which is, I don't know what they have. $9 trillion, maybe it's 950 billion under management or something like that. Anyway, a massive international bank. They slashed the XRP target 65%, signals tough road ahead. Bank cuts 2026 XRP forecast from $8 to $2.80 amid crypto market weakness. The good news, if you're part of the XRP community, XRP Army as they are known and really used to be known as, if you're part of the XRP Army, you love XRP, great. It is a solid blue chip. What I would say, and what I said on some of my posts over the weekend I did on TikTok and whatnot, is all they're saying is the crypto market sucks. XRP is going to suck, right? This isn't anything specific to XRP. Like, hey, got a bad business plan or this or that, or, they're going to face this headwind. They're just saying Bitcoin sucks. Ethereum sucks. The market sucks. So we're going to cut. We're going to get more realistic. It's still almost a 2x, right? Still is a 2x from here. It's a double from here. So anyway, I wouldn't be too worried about it if you're XRP lover. But just know that came down. But that's realistic. I mean, even though my bullish case is still short term, by that I mean, when Bitcoin hits all-time high and goes up to, the next level, $250,000 or so, I'd expect XRP to be $8 to $10. So that hasn't changed. So it's just, the good news is it's other things. It's not XRP specifically. But it is good to have these. We have to discuss them when these new big banks and stuff are following XRP, no doubt because of the ETFs that are out there. So that's a good thing. That's good for XRP. Also, this is more good news for XRP. Like I said, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about XRP because I will be going live on TikTok, and it's crazy over there. Like I say, I like XRP. I don't love XRP. But anyway, I will be talking about it and good news, bad news, like I will with all the majors. But anyway, XRP's RLUSD, which is their stable coin, breaks into the top 50 tokens by market cap. So let's go look RLUSD. Let's look that up. By the way, XRP is, of course, number 4. So look up RLUSD, Ripple US dollar, their stable coin. Yeah, it's now ranked number 47. And that's just based on how many are printed, right? Because with the stable coin, the value, if it's working, is always going to be at $1. Okay. So the stable, when you look at these stable coins, the market cap is just representing that there's now 1.52 billion of these issued. So what they do is when they lock up their dollars or whatever, their treasury bonds, whatever it is, 1 for 1, whatever the math is there, then that's what the market cap becomes. So let's look at some other stable coins here. Like let's look at Tether, the big one. Tether's almost $184 billion. $184 billion. So I think that's 100 times bigger than that. And they're coming out with a US regulated stable coin too, which RLUSD will be. So they can take some more market. The next biggest competitor here is USDC. 73.78 billion. So it's about not quite triple, or not quite a third, maybe, 40% or so of Tether. And then now you come down to a couple other things. We saw the gold one. There's USD1. Now, is that World Liberty Fies? USD1 must be World Liberty Fies. We'll see. That's 5 billion. So that's ranked 19. So stable coins are a big business, man. Big business. I like World Liberty Fi, the Trump boys. I did own some when it came out, and then I didn't like how it was trading early on, but their stable coin's doing good. It's a good business. Pay attention here. And then there's Tether's gold. Tether gold and Pax gold. Those are both big based on their market supply. Tether now has $2.54 billion in gold that they've set aside there in a Swiss account. And that's how I'm, be honest with you, when I decide to diversify into gold, I'm going to be buying Tether gold. I'm a digital person. I spend a lot of my time outside the country traveling around. I don't like having physical gold myself. I want to own it on the blockchain. So I will be buying Tether gold. But that's how that works too. The market cap is based on how much gold is in there, and then the price, of course, is the spot price of gold, which is down big time today, almost 3%. And then we come down here to Ripple USDT. So anyway, I think that's good news. That's a good business model. So profitable having a stable coin. So the fact that they've got that, almost $2 billion, I think that's great. A lot of money to be made there. And once again, there's going to be U.S. regulations once there's clarity. And I know Tether's coming out with a whole new one just for the U.S. market. So you've got USDC, RLUSD, and then you got USD1, which is World Liberty Fi. So, okay, the market's open. Let's look at a couple more news things. Give it a minute or so to settle, and we'll go see what's happening. Ray Dalio, legendary investor Ray Dalio. I didn't dive deep into this, but I think this is something you guys you have time, ought to look into. He just released 500 years of data showing exactly how empires collapse. His conclusion: America is in stage 6 of 9, the dangerous stage. Here's what his math actually says and where we're headed. Dalio studied every major empire collapse since the 1500 from a financial purse. Dutch, British, American. The pattern repeats with machine-like precision every 50 to 100 years, not because of politics or ideology, because of math. The big debt cycle has 9 stages. This is fascinating to me, and I think a great way to look at it. But if we go down and see stage 6, that's the crisis. This is where we are now. Federal debt exceeds 120% of GDP, gross domestic product. 2 choices: let interest rates raise and crash the economy, or print money and create inflation. Both destroy wealth, just differently. In the 1930s, we chose deflation. That's why we had this horrible reset, right? And but it helped reset the dollar and keep the dollar strong for the next 100 years. In 2008, we chose money printing. That's when Satoshi Nakamoto came out with the Bitcoin white paper, right? Because of this. In 2026, we're doing both at the same time. So basically, this is not a good thing. It's something you really ought to study. I'm looking forward to really deep diving into that. Very interesting. You've got these patterns repeating, and it's financial. It's not political. And of course, the answer is hard assets, and that's gold, silver, and Bitcoin, the best of all of them, because if you look at all the basic stuff of Bitcoin. So I think that was just absolutely fascinating. Look at one more piece of news. We'll go check on the market. I thought this was funny, especially if you're American. This is hilarious here. The bank said I couldn't afford a $1,500 mortgage, so I pay $2,500 rent now. I mean, that is so true, right? Can't get a loan, so you're kind of throwing your money away, or I don't know, on mortgages, if the interest rates are high, you're kind of throwing your money away anyway. But it just shows you how broken that system is. Part of that, got to get interest rates down and stuff. The housing market, that stuff Trump's working on. Well, we're 2 minutes into the market. Let's see what we're doing over there. Let's refresh the you know what? Start over here with the NASDAQ. We saw what it was looking to do. Let's see how it actually opened. I'm going to refresh it too, just to make sure we got the latest here. GM, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy Chinese Lunar New Year. Xin Nian Kuai La, and of course, Gong Shi Fa Cai. Hopefully you have a great year, health and wealth, and make a lot of money. Yeah, so the NASDAQ, about a little better than where it was pointing, 0.58 in the negative. Let's see, we're Tuesday, short week. Not horrible. Looks like the Dow's looking like it might have dipped over into the green. Let's take a look at that. Once again, gold down 2.5%. Yeah, we're up a little bit positive on the Dow. That could be, once again, because of sometimes these indices are different. Could be because of earnings or things like that. I think the NASDAQ is because of this big sell-off in software as a service due to the effects that they think they're going to have with AI. So a little premature in my opinion, but yeah, there we're looking at 0.15. The S&P, see where the S&P is. S&P 0.9. So it's that's still the Dow Jones. Hold on here. Website's still slow. I need to get a faster computer too, because I think I open all these windows. It's not the greatest. Yeah, about the same where it was, negative 0.06. I call that flat. Not a bad day. Nothing, no fireworks. Once again, it is a shortened week. Things can be a little different. Let's see how the market's affecting things over in crypto land. Okay, Bitcoin, as we see here, dipped a little below, down a little bit. We dropped below that 68,000 mark on the daily. We had a high of 69, low of 67. We're sitting at 67.9. So yeah, down. It's kind of mirroring what's happening in the TradFi market. Not nothing really to write home about. But let's see. Keep an eye on it for the next really the next hour, hour and a half. We tend to see this kind of 10 o'clock dump, right? As I kind of start the other show and this show's ending. Kind of become a thing. We'll see what happens. Right now, not too bad. Ethereum doing a little better. 1993, it hasn't really been affected. Love to see it get back over 2,000. Crazy for me to see ETH down here, though. Though I remember not too long ago, ETH was $60. XRP, yeah, down big for the day, but like I said, it had a little bit of a run. 146. It's about where it's been staying. I say that's not too bad. BNB, one of the bigger layer ones. 623. It's up, doing good today. It's doing a little better than anyone else. Up 1.3.1, doing about a little bit better. But BNB and Ethereum doing better. Solana, 85.11. Well, we're 1% and 0.1 for since kind of the market opened here. So yeah, kind of sideways. No real fireworks. No real fireworks and on this Chinese New Year. But keep in mind, I was posting about it yesterday because they're way ahead of us. So they're already in bed right now, but middle of the night right there now. But for us, it's Chinese New Year today. So anyway, yeah. Nothing really to write home about. Once again, if you're new joining me, I'll just reiterate kind of my price targets for Bitcoin. I'm looking to break that. I'm looking at 70,000. I want to get over 70,000 just because it's kind of a big even. If we can get and hold over that on a daily close, weekly close, even better. My next targets I'm looking at is the 72, 74. We've got some Fibonacci retracement, major Fibonacci retracements there. Got a lot of resistance. That was, I think, the previous cycle high. A lot of factors playing there. So if we can break the 72, 74, then I believe we go into the high 70s and we can shoot back up and try and maybe retest that 100,000 at some point. On the downside, my target's the 200-week moving average, which I believe is about 59,000 right now. That's kind of, that's what I see as the next big support level down there. We didn't, even when we dumped down a few weeks ago on some major volume, we never really tested that. It held, so to speak. And if we lose that, then I would be looking at the major Fibonacci retracement levels, which I believe are around 49. So anyway, those are kind of my things. We maybe hit a bottom, right? I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows. A lot of people have called the bottom at 69 for the fact that it's kind of right now we're kind of below the production cost of Bitcoin, and for some people, so it puts a little, pressure on the miners. But a lot of people think that 60 is the bottom. Hard to say. I mean, listen, and I've been saying this since we got in the trend. Once we broke that 50-week moving average, to me, that's when we're in a bear trend. I don't know if we're in a full-blown bear market or whatever, but we're definitely in a bearish trend. And until we break up, up out of that, we're in a bearish trend right now. So that is what it is. Just deal with it. Like I say, to me, there's a more opportunity. It could go lower, of course. Could go rip up higher too. We've seen $10,000 candles both ways. So I'm just kind of look, there's a couple ways you can trade this market or you can invest. I tend to buy dollar cost average and I just wait for it to come back. And if that takes a day, a week, a month, a year, 5 years, it doesn't really matter. This sentiment we're having where we are right now feels exactly like when we were down around 32 to 34. Everybody was calling for 1,200. We're going to 1,200. Everyone just knew we were going to dip down to 1,200 before we ran back. And at that point, we'd been to 20,000. We'd pull back. And some people thought we'll never get that 20,000 again. But everybody was sure we were going to go to 1,200. I had buy orders all the way down to 1,800. I didn't think we were going to get down to 1,200. We never did. We never really broke. I don't think we broke below 3,000. And then we went up to 66, down to whatever, back to 69, down to 17, and so. But it feels exactly when we were 34, so that 32, 34 stuck there for years. This is what it felt like. So I just invest for long term. The other thing is, you do some kind of, you have some kind of indicators that you decide. Some people have indicators that say when a coin turns bearish, I start shorting it. When it turns bullish, you can look at different moving averages. That's up to you. I'm just a long-term investor, so I buy it, I research it, and I don't care. I'm willing. I would rather buy Bitcoin at these levels, have it drop down to 48 or 38 or whatever, than to have it go from here, miss it, not buy it, and have it go to 250 or 200 or whatever. So that's my mentality. It's different for everybody. I'm just here to try and bring you up on the news, give you my opinions, whatever, but I'm not here to tell you what's best for you. Always do your own research. Don't believe anybody. Watch different people. Find out what their motivations are, right? Why are people here presenting you information? What are they doing? Are they making money on YouTube? Are they getting monetized there? And that's great. Or they have referral links? Do they want to, whatever? Just keep in mind, everyone has a motivation for being here, whatever it is, and keep that in mind when you look at it. Some people's motivations aren't good. Some people want to dump on you and act like they're your friends so you can be their exit liquidity. Other people are doing good stuff. Study everybody and then do your own research. Always make your own. Always do your own research. Always make your own decisions. So let's talk about some news. We will check back again on all that stuff, but let's talk about what's big news that's happened. Like I say, the FUD. I'm hearing a lot about the Kevin O'Leary quantum computing FUD, and that's all it is FUD. But it is what it is. Here is interesting on CoinDesk. Silicon Valley Bank said crypto is shifting from speculation to core financial infrastructure, with surging institutional VC, bank-led custody, and stablecoins becoming the internet's dollar. So when I used to say, let's beat Wall Street to the punch, we're not going to beat Wall Street to the punch anymore. But in some cases we are, because they're still only talking 3-4% allocation. They're still waiting for regulatory clarity. But keep in mind when you talk about cycles, when you draw your thesis, that we're becoming we're transforming, we're maturing, we're becoming a different kind of asset class, right? And stable coins are becoming a huge part of that because of the fact that they don't go up and down. You don't have the volatility, and that's great for the U.S. It's very good for the dollar in the U.S. That's why Trump is so gangbuster and all his administration. They realize how big stable coins. That's why his boys have jumped on that. I didn't realize how high it was ranked on the stable coins. They already have almost $6 million. I'm probably going to go back in and take another position in World Liberty Fi when I see how strong their stable coin is. Even 4 or 5 times bigger than 3 or 4 times anyway, bigger than Ripple. So I think that's good. But we're maturing. We're becoming Hoff, one of my sometimes co-hosts and often contributor on the GM Bitcoin Morning Show that I've been doing for 4 years. A big dude in the TradFi world, probably manages, I don't know exactly, I'm assuming billions and billions of dollars. He said, study the S curve. If you want to understand where Bitcoin is, study the S curve. That describes it more than a 4-year cycle or business cycle. Bitcoin price, Mr. Crypto, Bitcoin price is currently below production cost and above the electricity cost. Miners are getting squeezed. So keep that in mind. Oftentimes that will, look, miners, it's probably a good time to buy some of these miners. I know there's a few out there, some publicly traded ones you can invest in. I haven't yet taken a position American Bitcoin, but I like what they're doing. I like what the Trump boys are doing. Anyway, I was actually supposed to be going to Nashville to hang with some friends at a show that I usually run into Don Jr. at. I'm sure he's going out there this week. I haven't missed a show in a number of years, but I've just got too much going on with some of my projects, so not doing my traditional Nashville trip this year. But anyway, nonetheless, I like what those guys are doing. But yeah, keep this in mind. Maybe look into some of the miners. If you want to diversify your stock, look into some of the miners. Some of them are trading below the value of Bitcoin that they hold or thereabouts. So to me, that's a kind of a value play, a way to diversify that play. But it also can explain price action and things like that. Hash rate. If hash rate goes up, typically the price goes up. So anyway, food for thought. One more thing to put in there. I've been hearing a lot. I know Mario Naval did a big space yesterday. I'm hearing a lot about, the Iran thing. We've got, they shut down part of the Straits of Hormuz, which is about 20% of the world's oil comes through there. You can see how small that is. And of course, you got Trump sending a bunch of warships over there and stuff that were previously down in South America off the Venezuela coast. So look, geopolitical tension's not good for us. I do think, though, that, Trump doesn't do anything that's going to be some prolonged war. Last time they hit their nuclear facilities, it was an in and out deal. They are trying to, work some stuff out diplomatically here. And a lot of the Middle East is more in touch with everything. So anyway, they're kind of a wild card out there. Keep in mind, something like this, especially if it happens on a weekend, can really affect our price. Just don't let it freak you out too much. But be in mind, we got to talk about it. I was a political science major as well as a Chinese major in college. So I know a fair amount of politics, but I really don't really care to think too much about them beyond how it affects our pocketbooks and our Bitcoin price. But anyway, keep in mind that could blow up and could cause some problem. Hopefully it comes to a diplomatic end. Also heard, I was on my buddy, the Heine communities. They have an early morning show, 4:30 my time, 6:30. It's a space that I've been getting on for a while now, a few months now. And they were talking about the Ukraine conflict is already 4 years into it. So crazy, right? I remember that when it first started. People were getting out of there. It was crazy times, man. But it's already been 4 years. Also, the Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away, and probably more significant for people who are older. I haven't heard much about him recently, but used to hear a lot about him in the 80s, 90s. He ran for president a couple times, civil rights leader, whatever. They say he's a Martin Luther King protege, but never a fan, though I was a fan of Martin Luther King. But anyway, he passed away, as well as Robert Duvall, one of my favorite actors. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. One of my favorite lines from whatever that classic Vietnam movie with Charlie Sheen. Or no, it was Martin Sheen, his dad. But anyway, this is something to keep in mind. Could blow up, could cause us problems. Keep that in mind. Now this is interesting. I often look at what I own a lot more Solana right now than I do Ethereum, but I believe those are the two major L1s that I own and that anyone should own. And one of the things I have on my Bitcoin morning show, have had for years, I have AI is the title, RWA, and ENS. ENS is, of course, Ethereum name service. That's from years ago when it kind of started out as an Ethereum show. We started out 4 years ago, but that's just kind of still hanging around, though. The Ethereum name service isn't a huge thing these days, but it is a human readable address like my $Ron.eth. But anyway, nonetheless, that reminds me, I got to look into renewing that. Anyway, Ethereum's token. I'm often wondering, where should I allocate? Which one's better, whatever. And then there's obviously some good other options as well. I'm a big fan of layer ones, especially layer ones, some layer twos, but mostly layer ones, to be honest with you. And I believe these are the two main ones. So when I see this, Ethereum's tokenized RWA market jumps more than 300% year over year as value tops 17 billion. So what that means is people using real world assets or tokenization, they're one and the same. They're where you take gold, like we just saw earlier in the show, and we talked about Tether having gold on the blockchain. When we talk about stocks trading on the blockchain, bonds, funds, when we talk about real estate projects, like with what different people are doing. Trump, maybe the Trump family's talking about tokenizing. Whenever you take a real world asset and you put it on the blockchain, and typically you need someone to custody it. You need a third party you can rely on, but or if they become, unless they're native on the chain and exist completely on the chain. But the fact that grew 300% and it's 17 billion on there. I don't know what it is on Solana. Much less than that, obviously, but growing probably is faster. But it depends on what you're going to tokenize and which, apples and oranges kind of, if you evaluate the two blockchains. And so depending on what you're trying to, like things like stocks and stuff probably go better on Ethereum because they have almost instant finality. They're very cheap and whatever. On a Solana, a lot of people that use Solana don't like Ethereum, but a lot of people like Ethereum. It's more decentralized, it's more secure and things like that. And it's more accepted. So, but people are putting, keep that in mind. RWA is a niche that there can be some money made on. There's opportunity there. It's one of the major niches. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, is very keen on tokenization. Tokenization, RWA, just a different way of saying it. So congratulations to Ethereum. It makes me more bullish, makes me want to buy more Ethereum here. Okay, talking about the big software sell-off. JP Morgan has said the software sell-off is overdone, fueled by exaggerated concerns about near-term AI disruption. My sentiments exactly. I think that this big sell-off we saw, that we're seeing with the software companies, because that AI is going to disrupt them someday, is kind of a knee-jerk reaction. And really, AI is very, very new. We don't know what's going to happen. It's obviously going to be disruptive. It can obviously write code and things like that, but just keep that in mind sometimes. But it is going to affect these things. So keep just education, knowledge, keep all things in mind, right? AI is a place we can make a lot of money. We have AI and blockchain crypto coming off at the same time. Huge opportunity for all of us that are alive and are in this space right now, but we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. We'll try and break it down and figure it out as it does. I was lucky enough in my mid-20s to get involved in the internet when it was just starting. So I've kind of seen that whole thing, how it developed, and doesn't mean I necessarily gonna have insight, but I have seen a major disruptive technology from infancy to kind of full maturation. So I try and share some of those insights as I try and figure out, and we try and navigate what are the opportunities here in AI and in both in the traditional world. I'm mainly, if I do invest in the traditional world, I'm not against it. I don't have a U.S. bank account or U.S. brokerage account or anything like that. So I will do it when those hit the blockchain. We'll hit the rest of this news and we'll go over and we'll take one last look at the market before we call it a day for today. Poly markets. I like the poly markets because people are using real money. Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not, but it's a new tool we have to evaluate trends and sentiment anyway. And the odds of BTC hitting 80,000 in February dropped below 10 cents on poly markets. So that's what we've got. We're halfway through the month, basically. They don't think we're gonna wick up above 80,000 in February. So hard to know, but it is something to consider. Probably not going to take that bet, but I did see some of the longer bets that didn't think we'd hit like all-time high before the end of the year or something like that. Was like 8%. I'll have to look at it. That's a bet I would take more long-term. Anything's possible. We've seen it. We could literally be there this week. I mean, so hitting 80 is not out of the ordinary. But like I say, it is tricky, and it's kind of sentiment is very, very bad. Fear and greed's high. Sentiment's about as bad as I've ever seen it, but takes me back to the like 18, 19 when we were really depressed and the whole market cap of crypto dropped below 100 million. Crow just leveled up hard. I made a lot of money in Crow early on and still a fan. I don't own much right now, but they're continuing to try and level up and do stuff. They're the first blockchain, I guess, because I believe they are a blockchain. First ever digital asset platform with this ISO IEC 42001-2 AI certification. So AI done right. So just some certification you can get to show your security and some audits and things like that. So let's see how the price was affected by Crow on that. I didn't have a chance. I meant to look at that. No, flat didn't. If we look at the week, it had to have spiked a little on that news. Yeah, it did. Spiked up to 84 or 8.4. Man, I remember when Crow, when I first bought it, was 000, way below. And I had people get on. I mean, we multiple 100x, maybe 400 or 500x our money on Crow. I was trying to tell people to buy Crow. I really liked it back in the day. I was using their card. It's what kind of led me to CoinZoom and the card that I have today, and my investment in CoinZoom and using debit cards. But anyway, so shout out to Crow there. Harvard, this was interesting. Once again, as we look at what different people are doing, Harvard they sold 21% of their Bitcoin ETF and used some of that cash to buy 87 million in Ethereum. So Harvard diversifying some of their Bitcoin over into Ethereum. Interesting to see what their thinking would be. Obviously, they think that maybe Ethereum will outperform, or they just want to be diversified in the two big cryptos. Nothing wrong with that. But definitely noteworthy, something to keep an eye on. This is $1 billion no limit, just went to zero exposure in the market. So there's someone, somebody saying February 2nd, I'm officially 95% out of the market. Obviously sees a big crash coming in the traditional market. That's my biggest fear. If we see a major crash here, the traditional market, 5-10%, I think we go lower. That's my main thing. If I'm being honest of what could crash the market for me, that's it. Yeah, Chinese Year of the Horse. I'm loving these. This is in Chongqing, China. Look at this. They do these crazy drone shows, right? Unbelievable. But the Year of the Horse, the fire horse, that's obviously a unicorn. I don't know if a unicorn, I don't think unicorn is a fire horse. But anyway, interesting. Yeah, anyway, cool stuff. Chinese New Year, big damn deal over there. Can't affect the markets because a lot of Chinese take a couple of weeks off, travel, get out of the markets, kind of us over Christmas on steroids. It's about the overall kind of celebration is there's a major day, but there's, the celebration going for a few weeks. That's when almost everyone travels internationally. So, can't affect the market. A lot of times those Chinese people, they spend time with family and friends, or eating, drinking, playing mahjong all night and traveling. And they also need money to travel, and they need money to kind of like our summer holidays when you take the kids and go to Disney World or whatever. That all happens for them over Chinese New Year because it's the only time that everything really shuts down. So it's the only time you can really leave your job and get away with it. Last but not least, Logan Paul sold his Pikachu Illustrator card for $16.9 million. It's the most expensive trading card ever sold. Originally grabbed it for $5.3 million in 2021. Had a lot of offers on. I see him wearing around his neck a lot. A little bit of controversy. Two pieces of controversy. Number one is bet $2 million that Logan would sell it for over $15 million and then bid $15 million on the auction. Your $2 million bet is now worth $20 million. If you resell the auction, sell the card and pocket $10 million. So did that happen? That was back in December 31st, 2025. Some people, a new wallet created and began betting the sell price would exceed 10, 12, and 15 million. So that's interesting. Was that insider trading or whatever? Did someone know that was happening? But yeah, you could literally, that's interesting, right? People could be hedging or manipulating over there. Also, there's a lot of talk about, I don't know how much true that he tokenized this and sold some pieces off to it. A lot of people are screaming about that. I don't remember. I do remember something about that. I didn't remember that it involved this card. Some people are saying he sold part of that off as part of a fund or something. So they're tagging the FBI, SEC, all kinds of stuff. So we'll see. And I noticed he's just blocking people to do that. But hey, let's take another quick look over the market before we call it quits. I've got to start my show right now. So welcome, join me over there, GM Bitcoin Morning Show. If you want, let's take a look at the NASDAQ, call it good, see if we're getting better, worse in Bitcoin, and we'll look real there and call it a day. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, man. Hopefully I can start early again. Gives a little more time to talk. And once again, if in the future, if we get through stuff, you have specific questions or whatever, you can type them in the comments. So interested to see if this saves to X, because it hasn't been. If it doesn't, I'll post the YouTube link. But yeah, a little worse, it looks like. NASDAQ turned a little more in the red, up over 1%. We're now 31 minutes into the market. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin, yeah, taking a little bit of a dump. Remember, we were what, 60, 68, 69. Now, if we look at the hour, you can see what happened. We've dumped with the rest of the market, 66. Yeah, we're down 1.7% since we started the show. So here comes the 10 a.m. dump. But anyway, with that, we'll see where we are tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we'll see what happens the rest of the market. Have a great day. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning. And come join me on the GM Bitcoin Morning Show if you want. Guys, have a great Tuesday, Taco Tuesday.